Good evening, this is Joy Asonye Live. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today on the program, we'll be exploiting the potentials in the Nigerian entertainment industry. In spite of no appreciable efforts from government from all stratas, the Nigerian youths continue to break the glass ceiling, the proverbial glass ceiling in the entertainment industry, proving once again that indeed talent is in Africa and Nigeria. My guest today is the creative director of the Musings of a Madman Art Theatre. He's a writer, performer, and a member of the Abuja Literary Society and Actors Guild of Nigeria. He's going to do justice to this topic, exploiting the potentials in the Nigerian entertainment industry. Agu Prince Osinayah. He's the Happy Prince. Thank you so much for being part of the program.
Yeah, thank you, Joy. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's wonderful to know the Happy Prince can be here. I know you have a program you would get our viewers, you would let our viewers on later in the show, but it's going to be an exciting one.
Yeah.
Well, we'll go for a very short break right now and return to go in depth into the conversation. Stay with us. Welcome back from that short break. We're talking about the entertainment industry in Nigeria and how we can get it further than it has gone. And my guest, the Happy Prince, is a creative director of the Musings of a Madman Art Theatre. He's going to be telling us where he thinks the Nigerian entertainment is and what would further help that industry. The Happy Prince. First of all, how did you get to be that happy? Have you always been a bubbly, happy, cheerful person? Is that how you got the name, the Happy Prince?
Well, I've always been a happy person, but that's not how I got the name. Happy Prince is actually a very sad story.
It is?
Yes, it is.
I would like to quickly hear that.
But in the course, not on this show.
Not on this show. Not on this show.
But over the years, I've been able to adapt it into a creative fluid that propels me when I'm on stage. So when I engage creative ideas, so yeah, I've been able to check it more like using your pain. So that's what I've been able to do with Happy Prince.
The Happy Prince. I guess after the show, I would get to the bottom of how he got the name, the Happy Prince, and probably share it on the next episode of Joy Asonye Live. But let's get to where Nigeria is in the entertainment industry. Like I said earlier, it doesn't seem like we're seeing appreciable gains, appreciable efforts rather, from the government when it comes to investing in that sector. And yet we are seeing young people break bounds. Where are we when it comes to what we can give this nation, the gross domestic product, for instance?
Okay, the creative industry is one of the biggest industries in the world, and Nigeria has an advantage because of its population. And most young Nigerians are creative. I grew up in Aba, and I remember that one of the things that we did as kids was constructed. Let me just start there. I'll begin there. We used to use tin cans to construct the vehicles or airplanes that never flew. You know, we did a lot of things.
Exactly.
You know, and we invented games that we played. You know, we even had our own movies as kids. So it's something that it's in the Nigerian blood. Well, I think over the years also, I can say that in terms of skills, in terms of very credible creative outputs, in terms of reach, I think the Nigerian creative industry is really doing well. Mm-hmm. But when you look at it, are they translating into wealth for the practitioners? You don't see much of that. So there is the reward system for it is very low. So I think that is where we need to push. Government needs to come in, see what it can do to support the industry like they do elsewhere in the world. I think whatever we had as challenges within that sector became very visible during COVID.
Exactly.
because entertainment was gone.
Exactly.
You know, even though we also know the power of the social media, people began to do skits and all that, but there were aspects of that that really went moribund. So I think we need to push it up.
You talked about the reward system when it comes to these artists, these people who bring their talent out there. However, how can the government regulate that when there's no cutthroat pricing for it? It's not been a very structured industry per se, where you say, you know what, if I have to get a performing artist, for instance, this is what I would pay for his performance. So how can the government come in here without necessarily feeling like it would stifle that creativity?
Well, generally when I speak about the creative industry, I don't speak only about government contribution. I also speak about what individuals should do, what institutions should do, what the private sector should do. Now, it is a value you give to your thing. It is how you value your thing that determines whatever value other people will place on it.
Right.
We have okay. I always talk about Hollywood and how the American government uses Hollywood as a means of to strategically communicate American values to the world. We grew up thinking of America, thinking of big T-shirts, the rap culture, big baggy in fact, today we still talk about baggy trousers, then the face caps, and so many of these things. These are part of the global acculturation that was done by the U.S. government. And how did they do it? They put it in the movies, So I think what we need to do is broad spectrum. Everybody needs to, all hands need to be on deck to push it, beginning with the artist, because it matters what you put out there. It is not just that you just package whatever it is and then people are patronizing it. It really matters what you put out there. What is your art doing? What effect is it creating? What value does it create for people? Because these are the things that people will actually invest their time in.
Exactly.
You see, I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and the person said that Nigerians consume more of comedy. Nigerians consume more of comedy. So if you have a TV show and it's not comic, and you have another one that is comic, you see that people, if you look at viewership, you have more people because people are stressed. People need things that will help them to ease out.
And unwind.
But so what is left for the artist? It is not just to talk about make it comic all the time. So I talk about, for instance, COVID. Can I talk about COVID? Because COVID is still out there anyway. So can I talk about COVID and not make it too stiff?
And educational.
So it's education, it's entertainment. It's therapy. People are listening to your words, and they like we that do performance art. People are listening to your words and all they are seeing your movement and all that, and it's creating effects in them that is interfacing with their biological systems, and of course will push their minds and heal them. So that's just it. We need to look at it from all angles. It is not just the government, but like I always also say, the government must lead the way.
The government must lead the way, but we saw what happened to artists, those in the entertainment industry during this COVID, for instance, and subsequently we've also seen, it seems like when you're a performing artist or performance artist, or when you are in the entertainment industry, there's no pension for you. When you fall ill, it becomes such a big deal because you struggle. As long as you are not on stage, it affects your financial stability, which is not what we see in other parts of the world. So how can we bring that structure into this sector so that, because you do have several unions and organizations and associations around every facet of the entertainment industry. Yeah. What can we do so that we do not have to see our musicians that we hold so highly, or the actors that we hold so highly, begging for funds just to survive, or for an ailment?
Well, there are aspects of this that is personal, you know, to the artist, and there are also aspects of it that is institutional, and that's fucking government now. Culture is a very strong aspect of society.
It is.
And the easiest way to sell your culture, and I am very deliberate with sell, is entertainment. I don't see any other way. The easiest way to sell culture is entertainment. And I wish we wake up one morning in this country and discover that we have in Nigeria a government that understands the importance of culture. Culture is used in diplomacy. People don't know that. There's something called cultural diplomacy. There's cultural mediation. You know, there are aspects of life that can, and society, yes, that can actually be mitigated in terms of challenges just by pushing or promoting certain cultures, or pausing certain cultural practices. For instance, we have the issue of female genital mutilation. You know, that's part of the people's culture, whether you like it or not. It's part of their culture. But within the context of our current reality, the present, is it still effective? No. So it's very important that we understand. That's why I said that I hope we wake up one day and we have a government that understands the importance of culture. Culture is an ideological bomb. It can break loopholes. One thing that I remember here, and sometimes it makes me want to cry, is the festival in Calabar, which is, you know, we have the Agungu fishing festival. We have the
Calabar Carnival.
The Calabar, of course, the Calabar Carnival. Carnival. We have the one in Osun State. You know, visit to the Groove there. So if these are cultural elements packaged into events. So if people understand that there is a very strong influence of culture, maybe we won't have the level of poverty or youth restiveness that we have in this country. Because, for instance, if you have the Calabar Carnival, people are engaged, people are employed, people that make the costumes. That's employment. You have the people that the musicians. You have people coming with sound. You know, you have people selling what's it called? Selling memorabilia from here for the event. You know, so many things, so many economic activities are woven around it. So it's just being able to think, to use what you have, to think outside the box with it. That is just what we are lacking.
Well, you didn't quite answer what we can do in that sector, just so that practitioners in this sector do not have to literally beg for funds to survive.
Okay, yes. I didn't get to that. That's why I said that some aspects of it are personal. Personal in the sense that the world has changed and is changing. So that you are in the entertainment industry does not mean that you need to stick to the entertainment industry as your sole source of income. There has to be a level where you need to diversify your income streams, you know. And I'm not trying to sound like, you know, they sound out there when they say these things.
Diversify.
Yeah, you know, but it's very important. It's the reality of our time. The world has changed and is changing, especially after COVID. you know.
However, there are other sectors where you don't have to diversify. How can we get it so commercially viable that you don't have to diversify? You're always going to be known as a musician, for instance.
A musician can have a fashion brand.
Probably, but a musician can be a musician and make money out of music.
That's what I'm saying, that a musician can have a studio, because sometimes when you see people make money out of that, it is not just what you see on social media, because we also need to be very careful.
Careful, exactly.
You know, because sometimes what you even hear that people are paid, and I'm saying that sometimes it's just hype. Because okay, I'm a poet, and then one big brand comes up and says that they are paying Happy Prince 1 million naira for a performance.
Okay.
You know, that automatically means that nobody's going to near me and say 200.
Of course.
Of course. You know that. So
that's up the game.
So sometimes it's this thing, and I'm not saying that people are not paid that way. That's not what I'm saying. But the point of this is this: whatever rivers we have, whatever streams that we have, there is always a source, and it's always important to continue to people that source with its elements. You get what I'm saying? So it's always important to people that source with its elements. So if the ocean or the stream or the spring or whatever that's supplying a river runs out, of course the river is going to turn dry land.
Of course.
So we need to, while we move, because we move with a lot of passion. There's a lot of passion in creativity, and of course,
Prince, what else do you do apart from what I mentioned? You're a writer, you're a performer, and members of these associations. You're a performance artist. What else do you do to ensure this flow of it somehow it does matter to me that for you this flow of income skill keeps coming? It's
very important. Okay, so I run what is called the Happy Prince Couture. It's a fashion house. So we make clothes.
You do?
Like what I'm wearing.
Wow. I would have sworn you bought this off a shelf somewhere.
No. So we're still working on bringing it to Abuja. It's I have a shop in Aba anyway. That we make stuff like this.
I can now understand when you say diversify, because motivational speakers usually don't go that far. They just tell you, I started with the feather of a chicken and now I have a poultry farm. But let's go to the new administration. There's a pool of young people with so much talent and the many chains of what they can do in this sector that would break down our staggering number of unemployment rate. What would you advise to the new administration as they are gearing up?
Well, let them have a poet perform at the inauguration.
Okay.
Let them begin there.
They can hear you. So
the young lady that performed at President Biden's inauguration became an instant global star. That's capacity building.
Exactly.
If they bring a poet, preferably a lady, and then have her perform and I'm not saying bringing her because she's a lady. I'm saying bringing a poet who is a lady and it's good at what she does. Now, if you bring such a person and the person performs at the inauguration, you've made that person an instant star. That's capacity building without the stroke of any pen.
I fail to understand why you want why you're suggesting a lady though.
Well, I am one of those who believe that. In fact, I want my first daughter to my first child to be a girl. In fact, I want to have all girls.
Why is that?
Because I want to build strong. I want to raise strong women.
Okay, but let's go back to this inauguration and why you think a woman performing would send a message or maybe give them the insight, the body language that we need to do more for the entertainment industry. Okay,
so the woman in Africa is a picture of neglect, dejection, denial. Now, we have a lot of things out there on paper, CEDAW and all that.
the fancy policies that are supposed to help women.
Affirmative action and all that. We can do this. It's about building consciousness. Sometimes it's not what you do physically. It's what you do with the minds of people. If you put a woman there, that's strategic positioning. People will begin to see a woman differently. People will begin to say, wow. And especially, that's why I said, especially when she's good. So people will begin to see a woman different. They say, wow, so a woman can do this. So you see some fathers who hitherto did not want to train their children in school and say, oh, I want my daughter to be like this person. It's very simple. It may not be something that will happen to maybe 100 people. Even if it is one person that this thing affects, we don't know the power of one mind. You know, we don't know the power of one. Even if it is one person that the mindset is reset by this singular act, it's done the effect of a million policies.
A million policies.
Yes.
So most of which we already do have on paper, and we are fighting with implementation.
We talk too much in this country. We just talk. Sometimes they
tire you. How did I know you were going to say that? Sometimes they tire you. But what then would you suggest we do apart from talk? Especially in my sector, it's talk that we must do.
Well, is it for women now or generally entertainment industry?
For the entertainment industry, an agenda for this administration to follow through.
Well, I would say I would still stand on positioning, and I am saying it. I'm pushing my own. I'm a poet, so I need to begin there.
Right.
If you look at the radar of creative arts in Nigeria, music is right at the top. Before now, poetry and theater were at the top, but now music is there, which is wonderful. And music is also at the bottom. So music is top and bottom. There's nothing there.
Is it the genre of music that is on the bottom?
I mean, music, Afrobeat, of course. Currently, it's Afrobeat, but music generally. Everybody's talking music. You don't see all the endorsement deals that they are signing. You hardly see a poet. Not even Almighty Dikechukwu has been signed on, has had a deal, you know, except maybe he's refusing them. I don't know. You get. So it's strategic position, like I said earlier, is very important. So can we engage our young people, you know, strategically, push their art, and have the world interface with their art. So let them interface with their capabilities, and not just statistics on paper.
Okay. Well, I think it's a good time to go for a break and return to discuss the musings of a madman. The Happy Prince has something to tell all of us listening right here. So stay with us. We'll go for a short break and come back shortly. Welcome back from that short break. This is still Joy Asonye Live, where we've been discussing the exploiting the potentials in the Nigerian entertainment industry. We'll be discussing all of this with Agu Prince Osinayah. He's the Happy Prince, as he's fondly called, especially when he's on stage. He's the creative director of the Musings of a Madman Art Theatre. He's a writer and performer, and he will get to tell us what he has for us when it comes to the concert you have coming on. I don't want to get things put like my village people will say, I don't want to put my hand in your mouth. So you go ahead to tell us exactly what the Musings of a Madman is. When I think about that, it's quite witty. Yeah. One would not believe a madman would have the time to be musing about, right? So you tell us first of all what the Musings of a Madman is, and the concert coming up.
Okay, so Musings of a Madman is me telling myself to the world. My art comes from a very deep place. That's how I consider it, and it's real, and it's true. So I use those words. I never use them interchangeably. It's real and true. And Musings of a Madman is a poetry theater, and it's a 1-hour show. Even though this time I'm trying to bring other artists in, so normally I would go for 1 hour on stage.
Just you?
Yes.
Wow.
So, but
have you considered a Guinness Book record for that?
This year that everybody is looking for what to break.
I know.
So it's a 1 hour show. This time we're bringing other people to tell the story. So just script it and have people come and also share their art, because I believe in the power of collaboration.
Okay.
You don't need to just be on the spotlight all the time. If you have 10 people and they are there, everybody will want to talk about what they are doing and their contribution to it, and you're stronger. So yes, this is the third time we're staging it. We staged it for the first time in 2001.
Wow.
And we're staging
That's
it
about
again.
20 years ago. 21 years ago, really.
Oh, sorry, 2021.
The happy praise. I was about to say, that's a long time, 21 years. Okay, my point exactly. I wanted to start crying even more. I mean, if you've been doing this for 21 years. Okay.
So 2021, that's the first time we staged it somewhere in Warimpa. So last year we thought we've done the first one, let's collaborate. So we went to the Arts and Culture, Department of Arts and Culture, Social Development Secretariat. We gave the proposal and they accepted, they welcomed us, and we're doing it with them a second time, which means the first time was okay. So we're just pushing it. And that's part of what I say when I say that the government assisting creatives, yes, they are pushing it and we're also pushing it, and the show is going. So the show is ticketed, of course.
Yes, it's ticketed. But we'll get to all of this.
Yeah.
But the kind of people who would collaborate, excuse me, who would collaborate with you on that stage, on that day, let's look broadly now. The kind of collaborations, what often happens? What do you give them in return? What happens? I mean, I should expect they would ask you, like, what's in it for me? Is that do that questions come in, or is only in politics?
People should get. I believe that people should get things for their. People should be rewarded for sharing their art. I have a culture that when I walk into a creative space and somebody has done something really creative, if I have something in my pocket, I give them. Sometimes it could be a dance on the street. Sometimes it could be somebody playing some weird instrument on the street. And
just get the rhythm out of it.
And like I say, sometimes the art is not in the art.
The art is not in the art.
Yes, sometimes it is in the ordinary, the other things that may seem ordinary to the untrained eyes. It could be the way the person is holding, maybe the lady is holding her dress when she's singing. It could be the way somebody looks at emptiness when they are dancing. So sometimes it's not in the art.
It's not in your face as you would want it.
It's not in it. Sometimes it's not in it, and that's why you walk into some spaces and people are like, if somebody is writing a piece now and delivering a piece, and you have 1,000 poets on this table, each poet will have his own idea about it, and then you have somebody who is just an enthusiast. The person will also have a different, so you have 1,001 different opinions about that piece. And that, for me, that is what makes art extraordinary. And it's something that comes out naturally. If you walk into a room and you don't see this, know that the people in that room are not honest. They're not telling you the truth. Yes.
Okay. Irrespective of what the artist.
Irrespective of who they are.
Right.
If you walk into a room and you have 3 poets or 3 artists, and they are critiquing an artist and a work of art, and they are all saying the same thing about it.
Oh, of course, it's somebody.
Then they are not telling the truth.
Right.
One of them is not telling the truth.
Wow, it must hit them.
Two of them, rather. Two of them are not telling the truth.
It must hit them differently.
Yes, art and like I say, art does not need to be sophisticated. No, there's no. I don't see any sophistication in art.
Exactly. I mean, with music, with comedy, you know.
I don't see any. It's art is in the simple things. It is in the washing of hands. You know, it is in the singing of a lullaby to a child.
Exactly.
It is in the combing of your daughter's hair. You know, art is it's in the simple things. It's in handshake. It's in a hug. It's in a kiss. You know, it's in a pat, the pat on the back when somebody has done something that is extraordinary, and that is why our cultural society, our ancestors, were the real artists, because they did in Igbo land. We have what is called the Uli culture. The Uli culture was a kind of a form of decorative art that was used by ancient people in Igbo land, and it is still there today. We have the hyena. We have the hyena in I think in northern Nigeria here, which is quite popular. You know, they use it to decorate the hands of brides, especially brides in wedding. Yeah. I think that's henna. Yeah, I think that's what they call it. So these are all forms of decorative art, and they are very simple things.
To them they are, but you can see, even with this decoration you talk about, I look at it with such awe. It's with such simplicity. You see these women go on, and they will bring out really beautiful designs.
Yeah, and that's why they say that there is greatness is simple.
Are you afraid that we are losing it? Are you afraid, especially when it comes to?
I think society is becoming more and more sophisticated and heavy.
And too serious.
Yes, we're becoming more and more sophisticated and heavy. You know, and it's stealing a lot from us. It's taking us away from our true essence. Humanity has an essence, and we all channel that essence, you know. But when we begin to do other things that derail us from that essence, we'll begin to look at people and begin to hate them. You know, you begin to look at somebody and begin to say, oh, he's a Muslim, his God is inferior to mine, you know. And then, oh, he's an Hausa man, his language is inferior. Who told you that your language, somebody's language is inferior to yours? Who told you that your language, what if historically your language was even gotten from that person's language? Because I was having a conversation with a friend recently, and I told the person that there's nothing on earth that is new. We are all copying, we are all copycats. If you're not copying another human being, you're copying nature, because like we who channel natural energies by by the nature of our art. So I can make a poem out of my conversation with you, the way you put your hair now. That can be a poem. You know, I can walk out of this hall, this room, and confront the harsh heat of the outside. You know, that can wake a poem. So it's very important that we are awake. That level of awake and grow consciousness, and that's simplicity. It is the simple things.
Yeah.
And I'm not sitting here talking about meditation is good and all that, but that's not what I'm talking about. Like, I'm saying that you don't even need to meditate to do these things. You don't need to meditate.
You're right.
Like, you don't need to sit down like you're meditating to meditate. You can be walking on the street and meditating. So
exactly.
It's art is in the simple things.
It is
the simplest things.
Let's go back to why anybody should come listen to a madman muse.
Okay, so I promise you it's going to be entertaining.
And not
this time we're taking a 6 Foot Plus is coming now. 6 Foot Plus will be there. G Papa is one of the best rappers in Abuja. He will be there. GB Chris, my friend, will be there. You know, one of the best musicians in Nigeria. He will be there. Pelemo is a very beautiful poet. She'll be there. Of course, I also have Dear Society will be there. They will be part of the opening acts. Felix Ayuk. I have Bemsa. Bemsa is a grandmaster. He will be there. Aishida will be there. Stazara is one of the best poets. She's the author of I forgot the name of her book. But she will be there, and so many wonderful art.
Would 1 hour suffice to have these great performances?
No. This year is not going to be 1 hour.
Right.
Like I said earlier, it's a 1 hour show, but because we have bringing other people, this year we're just trying something new, actually, because I believe that art has to be able to translate. So like you can't be doing one thing the same way,
over and over.
So it's collaboration, but it's a single performance. So it's not like somebody's coming. No, let me know. Come on, say it.
Before we get to the time, date, venue, and price of ticket, and where people can get the tickets, let's talk about the reception for art in Abuja. I mean, when we talk about art and how it thrives, I think top of my head will be Lagos and then Port Harcourt, I guess. I'm not sure yet. You are the expert, so I'm sure you will tell us. But when you talk Abuja, are we there yet in terms of reception for this kind of art, and when it's not comedy, when it's not music?
Well, except we get to a point in Abuja where we can create art for everybody.
Okay.
We're not going anywhere with it.
So what kind of art do Abuja people require?
For now, because I think maybe also because of the diplomatic community we have here and all that, so everybody's trying to satisfy that community. I mean, it's okay, but we should also do something that will also satisfy our people. I'm very particular about it. So can I write a story of for instance, the Igbagi people and perform it on stage? The diplomatic community will love that. In fact, those are the kind of things that they like. They will come. So can I write a piece and have somebody that lives in a remote community or in a slum here, like they call it, come see the show and understand what I am saying? Because it is also in the simplicity of it. So this is not Shakespearean poetry or classical music. This is poetry of beans and gari.
That is relatable to the Nigerian person.
And beyond that, beyond pushing it that way, it's also a poetry that should be for everyone. We all cry. We all laugh. We all, even though some people may argue, we all love.
I'm not sure why anybody will argue about that.
And it's possible that we all hate. It's possible that we all hate, and people may have, yes, we all hate. It's not that possible we all hate, but there are people who have hated and then they repented their hatred, So so yes, it's we in Abuja, like I said in another program, Abuja needs to open up. It needs to open up. It needs to stop being stoic. I think Abuja is too stoic. Abuja needs to open up so that things can begin to happen here. There are a lot of people who are hungry for action.
Right.
But they can't get it. Either they can't get platforms because the stages are in Maitama and all these places, and they can't afford to pay for those for the rent for the accommodation, or people think that they are not there yet. Another thing that I want to say, especially within the poetry community, is that we should also try not to hijack it, because it's not to hijack it, so that it doesn't get to a point where somebody begins to dictate and say, okay, this is how poetry should sound, or this is how, that's why music is the way it is.
It's
poetry is like Abuja. Poetry is too stiff. I think we need to unburden it. We need to, without it losing the poetic essence. So we need to come to that point where people should be allowed to do whatever it is. If I sit down in a room and somebody stands in front of me and the person performs, and the person thinks that what they performed is a poem, I give it to them. It is what the artist says it is.
Right.
That is me. But I know, of course, a lot of people out there will not agree. They never agree with that position.
Okay, so let's get to how much these tickets are. I guess that's where I will start this conversation, so that I will know the kind of people you are expecting.
Well, Musings of a Madman, the ticket is very, very, very affordable. It's 2K.
Okay.
It's 2K.
That's kind of fair. 2K is really fair.
It's 2K if you consider what what goes into it. You say that, but for me, what I want is for people to come see the show, interface with my art, and it also counts for my artistic mileage. I've just been 3 years here. I came here in 2020 at the heat of the COVID anyway. So
Wow.
There is that hunger, to have an audience, to have people interface, build lists, so that people can always interface with your heart. So please come see my show.
Please come see them, the Happy Prince show. I know some of the artists you have called, and I'm quite excited. I, for one, will be there. But the venue for this show?
Okay, it's at the Community Hall, Cyprian Ekwensi Center for Arts and Culture, Area 10, Gariki, Abuja. And the time is 4 p.m.
4 p.m. And the
Saturday.
dates, okay?
This Saturday, 20th of May.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you have pegged it at 2,000 naira. How about people who would want to come and do not, is it negotiable? I guess that's what I'm trying to ask. For people who would want to come and cannot afford it.
Please don't come and negotiate.
And yet would really appreciate that.
Well, the audience will also be, there will also be a performance by students.
Students?
Yeah, we have students coming from at least one school. I think I confirmed it today.
So how do you get these people from these schools to, like the students you just mentioned? I'm really interested because very often, I mean, it's huge when you say students from a school.
Yeah.
So do you go hunting for this talent that is worthy of your stage?
Well, what I want to do with involving students is that we actually send letters to 4 schools, but of course, we wanted to do a mini slam,
okay,
on the show, but we just have a school responding to us, and their students will come perform. So I want the audience to actually to come and also see these students perform, because from there we'll also see talents that we can push in the future. So it's very important.
When you say students, from what level? Like,
secondary
is it
school.
From secondary school?
Yeah, secondary
so
school.
I should think it's going to be a family-friendly event.
Yes, it is.
But apart from this musings of a madman, have you seen more of such in Abuja, where families can just say, you know what, I want to go have a good time with my wife and children, or my husband and children, let's go? Do we have more of this?
Well, I think most of the events are 18 plus. I think most of the events are 18 plus, actually. For this year, we're telling the story of COVID, actually. This year, we're telling the story of COVID. We're telling the story of COVID. And the story of COVID is everyone's story. The theme for this year is absence.
Absence?
Yes, absence. Because in 2020, humanity was absent. So that's where I took the theme for this year. So it's COVID, but it's not COVID. So I'll also be channeling so I'll talk about survival.
Right. I guess that would actually characterize exactly what happened there.
Yes.
However,
because we survived, even though COVID is still around, it's in a different phase, but we survived.
We survived.
People thought that
that was it.
People thought that that Africa was going to be a graveyard.
Yes.
But it didn't happen. So we survived.
But Happy Prince, when you talked about absence, it reminded me of how beautiful nature had an opportunity to thrive when humans were absent. I don't know if it's something, as a poet, I don't know if it's something that struck you.
And I wrote a piece titled "What If We Are the Dead Ones."
Oh, you wrote that piece? Yeah,
I wrote a piece titled "What If We Are the Dead Ones" in 2021. I think I
came across that.
I think I performed it at Ed Day in Transcorp, 2021. I performed it on different platforms. It was also on the show last year. What if we are the dead ones? And I was thinking, okay, what if we are dead, and nature is just undertakers carrying our bodies around? That when we move from here, it's actually dead bodies moving. I was just imagining that, and then I wrote that piece. And that piece, I was referring to a tree, an Odala tree. I was mourning the Odala tree. that it had been cut because somebody wanted to erect a church or something there, Anyway, so but that's what the piece is about. So in 2020, yes, humanity was absent. A lot of things happened. Nature found its glow. Nature forgot how to die, in 2020. But there were also other things that happened to us, and I am channeling those other things that happened to us in the show.
Okay, you were saying that nature had an opportunity to thrive,
yes,
but something happened to us.
Yeah.
Are you intentionally not letting the cat out of the bag when I can see
I
what
want
you're
to
doing
come
there?
and see the show. On the show, I'm going to talk about loss anyway. I'm going to talk about loss, because we experienced loss. We lost time. We lost people. We lost faith.
We did.
So those are also things that I think I should also bring out. And of course, in stories, if any other person were to write Musings of a Madman absence, maybe they'll write it their own way, but that's where the poet has, the artist also has some kind of autonomy, so it's people coming to see. So on that day, I'm going to thank people for coming to see. I'm going to thank people for coming to see my mind.
Right.
So it is my mind I'm bearing on that stage that day. It's going to be a beautiful show. People should come see it. They can get their tickets at www.stellafricatickets.com.
You might have to spell it out.
www.stellafricatickets.com.
Stella is
TELLER.
Okay.
Africa tickets.com. So you just search for Musings of a Madman.
Okay.
So you buy your ticket. Your tickets will also be available at the gate. So on that day, you can also buy a ticket.
You don't have to.
Then you can also wait for me outside the studio, and I'll give you tickets to my bag.
I rather the collaboration that you and I enjoy does not translate there. So I rather I don't have people all over the studio gate waiting to buy tickets. Please go to tellerafricatickets.com and I'm sure you would get to see Musings of a Madman.
Yeah, just search for Musings of a Madman.
Right. And then for young people who I grew up with the vibrant entertainment clubs in schools. I no longer see that. I mean, I know young people in schools who do not have. It's not as vibrant as I grew up.
Yes.
I remember having to do several dramas. The school would organize a concert. Parents would have to come and watch students. I have never been invited by my children, so I guess I can say that it's not as vibrant as it used to be.
It's not just school, though. It's even the church. I owe most of my artistic acumen to be involvement in art club in school and also in church. In church, we need to do the recitation. I think that's when memorizing things came to me. So I think what parents should do, and when I have mine, is that I will do is to let your children explore. Let them be themselves. Don't gag them. Let them make their mistakes. Only regulate the extent to which they make. I remember when we were kids, my younger siblings, there's a particular one. So he would always want to go and touch the lantern. And then one day, we let him touch it. And after that day, he touch it again.
Of course, when you learn having been burnt, nobody will tell you not to get.
So children grow personalities like plants grow. So we should let them find it so that they don't channel you into themselves. Yeah. So just guide them. I think parents should understand their role as guides for children.
So what people like you who are really passionate about the performance arts, for instance, are you doing anything to ensure that we see this in churches like you had to participate in schools? Do you volunteer?
Volunteering now is not with my performing arts, no, not yet. But it's also something that I plan to do. In fact, that's part of why we're inviting the schools to see some schools that we're going to work with in the future, because we really need to push it. There are a lot of them out there, And one thing that art does is that art can also make a child that's supposed to grow into a certain, maybe a misfit for society, can be channeled properly with art. So art can actually change lives. It can change the route of lives. So it's very important that we expose children to the right art. Exactly. It's very important that we expose them to the right art. And sometimes it's also the art that works for a society, because it can thrive. There are also instances where it's something that is not common, and then they grow it and become landmarks there.
Wow. It's always very, very interesting to watch you talk about art. It's the passion for it is all over your face. But remember, the Musings of a Madman is on the 20th of May. That's Saturday, in 2 days really. 20th of May. You tell us the venue again.
Community Hall,
Cyprian
Ekwensi Center for Arts and Culture.
Okay, Community Hall, Cyprian Ekwensi Center for Arts and Culture, 4 p.m. you say?
Yes.
Right, and tickets are just 2,000 naira. You can get those tickets also at StellaAfricaTickets.com. You can go to that website to ensure you get your ticket. You can also get a ticket at the event. I will be there. It will be nice to see you as well. The Happy Prince, thank you so much for being part of the program.
Thank you for inviting me.
Okay, Ago Prince Osinayah. He is the creative director of Musings of a Madman Art Theatre. He's a writer, performer, and a member of the Abuja Literary Society and Actors Guild of Nigeria. Again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
But this is where we will draw the curtains on Joy Asonye Live. We'll be back tomorrow with more. Have a wonderful evening.